All right. So the first thing that you need to do for before you can start architecting software is you need to have a product in mind. So the people architecting the software probably aren't the same people building the product designs. There should be some communication and coordination between those teams, but I've just written down a couple questions that it might be smart to ask your product team, um, just to kind of get an idea of what you're trying to build, right? So you know what are we trying to build? What should it look like? How's the user going to interact with it? What data do we need to keep track of? Do we have any designs drawn up? Do we want any designs drawn up before we start building it? Um, are we going to do any kind of user testing and get user feedback before we like? Is the design going to change frequently and often as we go, or do we know what we're going to build? Um, Even if you don't have visual designs like mock-ups, do we have any wire flows, any like user experience flows drawn out? Do we want any? Do we know kind of the flow people are going to go through as they're using the app? Have we thought about error handling? Like if the system's down, what kind of errors should we show? Have we thought about permissions? Or are people going to be required to have certain kinds of permissions to see certain parts of the app? Um, yeah, an important one. Is this a new thing that we're going to build, like a new product, or are we adding on to an existing product? Um, and the question beneath that about market fit. Market fit means you have a product that people are willing to pay for. People are paying for your product already. If you're trying to find market fit, that means you have a product but nobody's using it. Like nobody in the market actually wants it. So you have to change things and you have to pivot and you have to think up new ideas and try things out until you find something people are willing to pay for. So are we still trying to find market fit, or are we expanding on an already profitable product? And that's important when you're architecting to think about because especially with system design, trying to think about and database design too even, you need to know how quickly you need to be able to pivot. If you need to be able to change the direction you're headed on a dime, then that impacts what you can build with. So for example, SQL is really easy to pivot with. You can change your data really easily and quickly with SQL. Um, with system design, if you're still trying to find market fit and you need to pivot quickly, then you might lean more towards like a monolithic architecture where everything is just in one place. You can change it quickly. You don't have these infrastructure level patterns set up based on what you think the product's going to be. So those are some things we'll talk about more in the system design, but it's important to ask these questions to the product team so that as you're designing your system, you kind of have an idea of what are we trying to build and how likely is that to change in the near future. And this is one of those topics where I don't have enough personal experience with actually doing product design that I'm not going to do a demo on this because I don't know how to do wire flows and stuff. But this is the side of the experience that I do have experience with is, talking to a product team and asking them these kinds of questions and figuring out what designs are we, what are we trying to build? And so the only thing I'm going to do for this one is to think up an example, which I've done. So the example product that I'm going to use for the rest of the topics and kind of do examples with is I wanted to have a simple product idea that we can have in mind while we walk through the other steps, and I wanted it to include enough levels of data hierarchy that there's some complexity when we're doing our data design. So the app idea that I came up with, it's not original, but it's something like Facebook Classifieds or Craigslist, right? Where users can sign up and have an account. They can log in and they can list products for sale. They can search through products that other people are selling. Maybe there's a messaging system so you can contact a seller and coordinate a sale or talk, ask about the product. Maybe you can check out on the site, like on Etsy, where you can actually add things to your cart and check out and have a checkout experience. So those are all things that we're going to explore, but that's the product idea that we're going to have in mind as we go through the next steps.